The sixth episode of Reacher Season 3 begins with our titular guy being escorted to Quinn's warehouse. Quinn nibbles on Beck, threatening his stomach following the botched operation. He doesn't blink an eyelash at Reacher though, because it appears Quinn has amnesia and doesn't recall the large guy. Furthermore, Quinn explains that Teresa is still alive. The client they're dealing with has a thing for redheads, so she's being used as a deal sweetener by the Russian mob, who happen to be the buyers. They are led by a man named Takhtarov, who is clearly not in the mood to play games. He is upset about the delayed supplies and warns Quinn that things will become ugly if he is not careful. Quinn needed funds when he moved his operation back to the East Coast, so he went to the Russian mob for a loan. They helped set things up by kidnapping Richard and taking over Beck's business, and now he's in trouble. However, if this arrangement does not go through, Quinn will be killed. His life literally hinges on getting this sale done. Duffy watches over everything from a distance with Villy, and after seeing the green dress enter the warehouse, she decides it could be a good idea to track it down to the dress shop. He doesn't have the buyer's name, but he does have a number, which Duffy readily accepts. However, considering Duffy's attempts to call and his lack of success, it could be a burner phone number. Reacher and Duffy discuss the specifics of the case, including how they need to know when and where this transaction will take place. There is a lot riding on this, and Teresa will almost definitely be present. Duffy ends up kissing Reacher, but when Villy arrives, everything changes because Richard, whom Reacher ended up going into town with, notices the cop he killed. Uh-oh. With the cover potentially exposed, Reacher speaks with Richard on the way back to the house, revealing what is going on. He outlines Reacher's goal and the DEA agents, as well as how he plans to shut down Quinn's business. Over in Virginia, McCabe orders his men to pursue Officer Powell, the man who first informed Reacher of Quinn's plot. He is tortured for information and eventually spills the beans about the plates being used on one of their vehicles. Quinn is furious when he finds out and confronts Beck, who discovers that Reacher is their mole. In Chicago, assassins rush in to kill Neagley. She manages to hold her own and learns about the operation, as well as the information that someone named Kostopoulos dispatched him. Neagley subdues the man after informing Reacher of the hit. Reacher's cover has been revealed, and he dashes out of the property. While he manages to escape, the mounted machine gun in the booth near the door takes its toll on him, forcing him to flee on foot. A shootout naturally ensues in the woods until Reacher turns off the lights and decides to go covert, eliminating the guards one by one. Paulie is the only one left, and he follows the signs back into town. Reacher has arrived and is temporarily hiding out in the laundromat with the proprietors. When Paulie returns to Quinn and discovers that Reacher has escaped, he decides to relieve some stress by playing Russian roulette. It's pretty uncomfortable until Beck gives in and promises Quinn whatever he wants. Meanwhile, Reacher returns to Duffy, where they discover that calls have come in from a location named Port Rome. Reacher realizes that this is related to the dock, specifically boat owners. That number from before? It's Harley's. And they deduce that it leads right to the Sweet Marie, which is a yacht. Duffy and Reacher follow the instructions and swim out to the ship, which is mysteriously floating in the middle of the water. It's clearly odd, especially when they discover evidence that Teresa was there. It appears she has been tied up and drugged, but when Harley returns, a struggle breaks out, and the boat is eventually set on fire. Harley reveals that he's been paid $1,000 each day to keep Teresa on the yacht after some light persuasion. Quinn has now relocated her and altered his entire scheme, including the timing and location of the gun trade. Harley has not been informed of anything. Duffy and Reacher leave, satisfied that he has exhausted all helpful information, letting Harley go down with his ship and going on to the next clue. Where is that? Well, it is in Los Angeles. Thank you for watching.